Welcome to assignment number 1, field trip.
Okay, well, here we go. We're going to be heading out today towards Laylu Island and Flora Bank and talk about the Skeena Estuary.
Here's a map of the North BC coast. You can see Prince Rupert, where I live, and also the Skeena River that flows into its estuary in the Chatham Sound.
Here we are, first leg of the field trip. That's the Laylu Island right up ahead there. And we're going to be going around the little passage to the right and head out over Flora Bank and into the estuary.
Here you can see Flora Bank and Laylu Island, which we will be circumnavigating. You can also see in the top right corner of the image Inverness Passage, through which the Skeena flows into Chatham Sound.
So that's Laylu back there in the distance. We are now over Flora Bank. Flora Bank is one of the most important and fragile pieces of the Skeena River estuary. It's a huge rearing ground for smolts that have been born inland up the river and find protection, find food as they adjust to the saltwater environment. And this is Flora Bank. So Flora Bank, when the LNG project was proposed here to go over this area, it was incorrectly identified during the environmental assessment process as being a non-important area. Subsequently, with the protests from the Lakwalams band here in Prince Rupert, which got a lot of ENGOs and scientists on board, and they determined with some very good science the exact opposite, that Flora Bank is one of the most important and most fragile parts of the Skeena River estuary. One of the major issues in protecting the estuary and Flora Bank and the other very important fragile parts of this ecosystem is the fact that the Skeena River estuary does not have a comprehensive conservation or management plan. So this lack really puts at peril some of the more fragile and important parts of the estuary ecosystem, like Flora Bank. Lots of different pressures, of course, on the estuary and the salmon in particular, who of course form the foundation really of the food web for not only the coastal environment here, but also the inland freshwater environment, as we know, with the salmon runs bringing marine-derived nutrients up the waterways and for many hundreds of kilometers into the interior. Skeena River is one of the biggest wild salmon runs in the world still. These fisheries and everything that they support, including sport fishery, recreational fishery, ecotourism, tourism, all of this is threatened by this industrial development that happens, by climate change, and also by proposed large-scale natural resource extraction projects. And all of these things really threaten this thriving coastal economy based on these fisheries and ecotourism, and also the First Nations economies here in the area, which are recovering and adding a lot to the economic profile of the region. So all of that needs to be weighed against a lot of the industrial projects that are proposed. So we've left Flora Bank, and then down here we have Inverness Channel. So this is all part of the estuary still. Millions and millions of salmon go up and down that as they come to and fro. And it also, that was where there was about 6 or 7 canneries located way back in the past, which brings up another pressure on the ecosystem here, which is overharvest. And we've got some sandhill cranes there, which is very cool. Great to see them. Overharvest, definitely a big issue. So there's just a lot of different pressures on the habitat here, especially for the salmon and other important fisheries. The harvest, potential for overharvest, climate change, changing water conditions, industrial pressures, from the harbor and other projects, and pollution and marine traffic. There are a lot of different pressures coming together on this place, affecting its biodiversity and its resilience as an intact ecosystem.
And these pressures are all seen and assessed individually, which is part of the issue since we do not have a systems perspective on all of these different impacts and how they cumulatively affect this incredible estuary ecosystem here on the North Coast.
There, we made it back home to our starting point. Thanks for joining us on this journey around Laylu Island to learn about Flora Bank and the Skeena River estuary.